Terrorist suspect Jabbar. He is a veteran from Afghanistan. He joined the ISIS a few months ago. Then he tried to kill the people so that New Year Day 3 a.m. He ran the car from Texas. Then he has handgun, AR-47, and some explosive device. He tried to kill the police also. 2 police officers, little bit injury. FBI killed that guy, suspect terrorist. That's the latest news. He was born in America. Then he graduated computer science. Then he worked as the information technology. Then he joined the ISIS. Then the suspect killed so many, 14 people, and 35 are wounded. That's the news of this today.
Devices elsewhere in the French Quarter. Fortunately, they did not go off. ABC's Whit Johnson leads us off on Bourbon Street tonight.
Tonight, as investigators dissect hundreds of hours of surveillance footage and field more than 400 tips from the public, the FBI says 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar was likely a lone wolf terrorist, shutting down earlier fears of possible co-conspirators.
We do not assess at this point that anyone else involved in this attack is involved in this attack except for Shamsuddin Jabbar.
The FBI says Jabbar drove that rented F-150 truck from Houston to New Orleans on December 31st, posting multiple videos to Facebook along the way, claiming he joined ISIS before last summer and pledged allegiance to the group.
What I can tell you right now is that he was 100% inspired.
They say in the hours before the attack, he placed a cooler with an explosive inside on the corner of Bourbon and Orleans Streets and another 2 blocks away, and had a remote detonator to set them off.
We did obtain surveillance footage showing Jabbar placing the devices where they were found.
While speeding down Bourbon Street, hitting pedestrians, the suspect also opened fire with an AR-style rifle before crashing into this construction vehicle. Next to the truck, a mangled motorized wheelchair. Jeremy Sensky was thrown from it. Tonight, the 51-year-old, who was paralyzed from a previous accident, is recovering in the hospital.
I had broke my femur.
Both legs?
Both legs. My tibia, I think my wearing ankles broke.
Jeremy says he never saw the truck coming, only heard loud bangs and screams before he was knocked to the ground.
How do you have optimism in this moment for the future in the new year?
I'm alive, man. I mean, I'm alive. Everything's good. I just feel bad for the people that didn't make it.
Sensky survived, but at least 14 people were killed. 37-year-old Reggie Hunter was a loving father of 2 young boys. His cousin Sherelle Jackson was texting with him just before the attack.
It was 12:07 when his message came in.
That was the last message?
The last message that I had from him at 12:07 a.m. Just on New Year's morning, saying, happy and that he loved us.
And when you look at that message now,
I'm grateful that I have it.
But hours later, she says, it was her heart-wrenching task of identifying his body at the hospital on New Year's Day.
I I said a prayer before I got ready to go in, like, you know, God, give me strength to be able to do this, because I'm wanting to be strong.
Did you feel like in that moment, though, you were able to, in some ways, say goodbye?
Yeah. When I, you know, I picked his hand up and I felt it. It was cold. And I just kissed his hand and said a prayer and said that I love you. And yeah, for me, that was my goodbye to him.
Also killed, 21-year-old Hubert Guthrow, seen here in his high school yearbook photo.
21 years old, still so much life to live, it's just taken too soon.
นี่แหละครับ
It's a tragedy.
Drew Dauphin was 26. His family says he always now will be in the sun at the lake that he loves so much. 28-year-old former Princeton football player Tiger Beck was visiting Louisiana for a long weekend of fishing with some college friends. Kathy and Louis Tenedorio remembering their 25-year-old son, Matthew.
His beautiful face, his laugh, I love you, Mom. You know, just he was just a wonderful son.
I'm still in shock, honestly, and as I think as time goes by, you know, I'll see something that reminds me of him, and I'll break down. I know that's going to happen, probably for the rest of my life.
Officials admit the suspect defeated security by driving onto the sidewalk. Today, new metal barricades were brought to that same spot as Bourbon Street was reopened to the public.
And Whit Johnson with us now from New Orleans. Whit, Bourbon Street, they're right behind you. It's back open, but the investigation into the attack is far from over. So what's the latest?
Well, Mary, the FBI has just released a poster with new images of the suspect, and they include a photo of Jabbar in the early morning hours of New Year's Day, captured on Bourbon Street, along with an image of one of those IEDs that they say that he left in a cooler nearby. They are asking for the public to come forward with any information that could help. And of course, as you noted, all of this as Bourbon Street is now back open, of course, under heavy security, with authorities continuing to investigate this deadly attack. Mary?
The spirit of New Orleans tonight, undefeated. Whit, thank you. And now the investigation into the suspect and his possible motive. The FBI says in the hours before the attack, Shamsuddin Jabbar posted several videos on Facebook describing his turn to ISIS and who he first intended to hurt, but why he chose to target New Orleans instead. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre.
Tonight, an ongoing and urgent investigation to understand the motive behind this brutal and vicious act of terror.
I've assembled the entire defense and intelligence apparatus of the country.
More than 1,000 federal, state, and local law enforcement officials going full tilt the last 24 hours. Thus far, not finding any other co-conspirators, but still trying to determine if Shamsuddin Jabbar was radicalized to become an ISIS sympathizer online on his own, or whether he was recruited and handled by an ISIS member directly.
This is completely outside of his character.
His stunned brother speaking to ABC News, asking not to show his face.
This type of extremism and radicalization, I didn't know anything about any of this.
The profile being developed, baffling. The mild-mannered real estate agent seen here in a YouTube video.
Good evening. I'm Shamsuddin Jabbar.
Radicalized by ISIS.
Tonight, the FBI exploring 3 phones and 2 laptop computers, pleading for the public's help.
Whether you know Jabbar personally, worked with him, served in the military, or saw him in New Orleans or Texas, we need to talk to you.
Born and raised in Texas, Jabbar spent more than a decade in the military in HR and IT roles, including a stint in Afghanistan. But in recent years had been divorced at least 3 times and was facing financial challenges and a strain of child support for his 3 children. But something snapped. Just hours before the attack, the FBI says Jabbar posted videos to Facebook where he openly discussed killing members of his own family, but apparently deciding that was not a big enough political statement.
He originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers.
Agents swarming this home in Houston where the suspect had reportedly lived. Our Maria Villarreal is there.
This is where law enforcement made entrance into the property. You can see what's left of this mangled gate inside, the very bare minimum of furniture and cooking essentials.
Neighbors calling Jabbar a quiet man who kept to himself. Murray, vehicles used as weapons of mass destruction are becoming the preferred method of attack. And we're learning about a new report tonight warning New Orleans officials that Bourbon Street was a prime target.
So many questions remain. Pierre Thomas tracking it all. Thank you. As New Orleans races to reopen its iconic streets after the deadly terror attack, Louisiana